DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday night. It's time to be talking music and mixing and fun. And when you're thinking music and mixing and fun, that means one person and one person only is with us. Oh, wait.
Well, he's not here tonight.
He's not here, but MJ's here. And MJ...
Oh, aren't we all so funny tonight? Oh. Now, how's everybody doing? We're back again. This week, I may be making some of you think too hard with MIDI mapping, but I'm going to try to slow it down and explain it in little bits so that you don't necessarily have to take it in the level that I do, but you can maybe try some things on your own. Cool?
Now, just to back up a little bit. Now, when you had the 6,000, you basically took that and changed not all of it, but a high percentage of it, of the functionality of the buttons and such.
I actually think I changed more buttons on this than that.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
I'm doing banks on this before, just individual buttons. This one is also individual buttons and then banks of stuff. And that's what we'll get into, that I MIDI mapped audio effects and video effects. And I'm going to be talking a little bit. I think I'm going to be able to do lighting effects through Freestyler's plugin for virtual. But we're still going to basically talk basic MIDI mapping, not necessarily program specific. So I'm not going to teach you how to program on yours, but I'm going to show you some basic language, show you what it is, what it looks like, and how easier it's getting. Because I'm going to show you from the version 7 of virtual to version 8 and how that they are starting to make it easier by separating things out.
Very cool. Let's jump into it.
Look old and back. So to start with the beginning, if you don't know what MIDI is, it's Musical Instrument Digital Interface. And basically that means that it's kind of a language where the hardware speaks to the software. So when the computer plugs into the controller, or it can be a keyboard, because keyboards are MIDI also. If you plug it in, it's going to read these buttons as something, and it kind of reads it as what's called a generic MIDI device. And that means that it sees something there, and then you have to put a command with that button that does something on the software. So that's what MIDI mapping is. And what I do is I change it up a little bit so that if there's a button there that I go, I don't use that, but I'd rather have quick access to something else, I then program a button to do something. That's kind of the reason. I think I want to start with what I did first, and then a little bit of why I did it while I'm showing you what I did first. And then a little bit later, like I said, I'm actually going to show you some MIDI script. And then not only is this MIDI mapped, but my keyboard's MIDI mapped in shortcuts, so that if I ever had to do a night with that, if this crashed and I needed to, I have all my effects and cue points and everything I can do right from there. I can jump cue points, beat match, everything from right there. I don't recommend it. I'm a firm believer in using some sort of controller, because once you get volume knobs and stuff to work with, there's nothing quite like it. But I am actually going to show you, and we're going to program the letter P to do an effect tonight. So you actually get to see that. So I'm going to switch cameras here. Give me a second here, because I'm, again, working with multiple computers. And we're going to go switch camera here. Am I picking up a second camera? I'm only getting one camera. Did my camera quit again?
Oh, no.
Lost that one, right? Oh, I think I know what the problem is. See, I'm using so many things that I have to pick the camera is on the other computer. I thought I had it in this one, but it's on that.
So, yeah. There we go.
Gee willikers, Batman. What the deuce?
I was going to say, we had it a few minutes ago.
All right, so this is the 7,000 that we saw. And I want to start with up here. Last time we showed that these were changeable within the stock programming. And what I did is I like have buttons to hit quick. And there's effects that I call exit effects. They're echo out, backspin, and then quick dump, which gives it an effect. And I like to have those, ready, so I don't have to turn a knob, choose it, then act it. I can just reach up and activate ones on this deck separate from ones on this deck. So if I'm playing a song over here, we're going to do the echo out. It's a flanged echo out. Now the backspin and the dump. And it's the exact same thing on this side. That actually wasn't very far into the song, is why you didn't hear backspin. And then the dump. But they're separate. So if this is playing, and I go, it doesn't affect that.
Right.
And that's one of the things we're going to talk about, that how you separate them. Because there is a way I'm going to show you later on to make it a button that does the same thing universally, or does it per deck. Because that's how detailed you can kind of get into mapping each thing. So that is the basic first changes that I did with that, is give myself those quick access buttons right there. I kind of did the same thing down here, because on the original roll, this is what roll was originally. So if you tuned in to our very detailed video about the 7000, this was what comes in stock. They're rolls. All right, so that's a roll. What I did is now on the first hit, the rolls are on the second hit. So if I'm on my cues here, and I go to the second one, that's my effects deck, only audio effects. Second time takes me to their rolls. Okay, so if I'm on mine, I have all of those with audio effects. The first one is they're repeats of this, because I haven't decided which I'm going to do yet. Because when you said about the 6000, the comparison of how much MIDI mapping I did, there's more buttons on here, so I have to kind of still decide, where do I want that?
Right.
It's like having a house with 2 rooms as opposed to 20. You have to think like, what room do I want this in now? Because before I only had 2 choices. Now I have a bunch.
Right.
The first 3 are actually repeats, so that's the echo, backspin, the dump. This one is an echo that is a softer echo that can be used as just a background echo, but it continues when you hit the stop button. So it's kind of a softer, so a little bit softer. But if there was like nothing going on in the music there, like let's jump ahead here. We can do that now, and we'll go into here. And there's a drop off, and I'm going to hit the echo at the drop off. Can you hear that?
A little bit, yep.
So that's what that echo's for, doing tricks like that. The next one is kind of like a roll, but it is called Beat Grid, and it is a roll in a specific pattern. And there are 4 different programmable patterns I have in this. I mainly use the first one. It's leaving it right there, so I'll do it again. And it's out. This one is a doubler. Basically, it's like one of the old turntablist tricks, to where you would put 2 of the same song on each side, but let this one react just a little bit behind it, so you can give it that slap, 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 slap feel. So, but that's all this is. Flanger, simple flanger. The last one is a low frequency oscillator, and it's like for a longer note, it'll hold the note and kind of shake it a bit, and it's really nice on if someone hits a longer note.
Yeah, we really can't hear that one.
Those are the audio effects, and they're the same on each side. So when I hit these, it doesn't affect this. When I hit this, it doesn't affect this. So that was the first jump I did with those, is to give me all my audio effects quick hits. Other changes I made is, one of the things that with this, there's a sampler deck over here, all the way over. I did with my samples on there. And again, as I'm programming these, I can choose colors of stuff. So as you see, that one right there, when I set the effect, it's white. If I chose in the program, I want it red, it could be red or blue or whatever. So that's the level of MIDI mapping that you can do, is you can literally choose a different color if you want a different color. But the sample decks are just simple samples. I don't know how loud they are, so I'm going to be my hand on the volume, on the sampler volume. That's a kick drum. We're going to talk about the kick drum here in a bit.
My favorite.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a special mapping I did for that. Because remember, all of these, if those are my cue points, okay, I have to hit a button, then access them. The ones that I want to access without hitting a second button, it's like when you're on on a computer and the least amount of mouse clicks or on a phone, least amount of taps that you can do, that's what I'm doing. I'm setting it so where the ones that I want to grab and turn on and off and quick, I don't have to go to a second bank. But these are the samples.
You are listening to Michael Joseph, MC DJ.
Stuff that I use. And that's just a sample deck. And I can also, if I want, then go below it. Like right now, it's not. Put 8 more samples underneath. And put 16 and 16 or 8 and 8, whichever way I want to do that. Right now, they match. So it's 8 here, the same 8 here.
Right.
But I flip that to where there's 8 and then a bank underneath, or 8 here and 8 here. So it's kind of a choice on that, how you want to do that. That kick drum, for John, we were talking about how that a lot of like DJs, pretty much all the songs that I have like a redrum to it or something like that. So there's a kick drum, but if you have a song that doesn't have one, you know, there's one to that. It's not the greatest. But let's say I wanted more to that, and I could bring in by starting the song, go to my sampler, and then hitting the kick. Kicks underneath. Hear it there?
Yep.
Okay. I don't want to go through that second sample part. So what I did was take over the sensor button, which I don't use, and it's now the activation of this side's kick drum.
Ah.
And this one's this side. So I don't have to go to a second deck. So if I kick this song off, you know, and I'm going, oh, I need a kick. It's right there. And I can take them in and out whenever I want to.
And is that kick drum sampler still controlled by the volume control in the middle?
Yep.
Very nice.
But it's again getting things to where I want them so that I can access them quickly. That's why I do what I do, just so that I'm able to put things where I want them. And it's not that hard. Like I said, when I get to the end and show you some of how to do it, you're going to go, wow, that's all I have to do. And not only that is all you have to do, because before, I'll show you the before line that you had to write. You know, now it's 4 words that you have to put in there. But the thing is that so many people are doing it now, you literally can go out and get the stuff pre-done, or ask someone, I want to do this with this controller, and someone can help you get the right scripting for it. It's really easy.
Wow.
The other one I did was I told you about the parameter buttons. I flipped these. I did that in the mapping, that to where before with shift it was parameter 1, which is just moving it from different cue points. All right, so these are the cue points that you would hear. So if the shift is down in this, all I'm doing is jumping cue points. But what I want with it is to tap it and take it forward or backwards 4 beats. So let's say I'm getting to that point right there, and I don't want to get there. I can come back here. Jump into it whenever I want. But it lets me. That's why I moved that one over there, because I use that a lot. Like I said, if you want to get to that point and you're back here and you're like, oh my, I've got so much space to fill, tap it. You're into it. Just to jump ahead. Again, that's just some of my personal MIDI mapping stuff. Some of the other areas I changed are these, because these are deck choices, and we talked about in the other video, to where they let you jump folders where your songs are at and let you look at things without having to go up into the video itself. I kind of changed them around to be what I want. This one here is my jump between my 2 main, and I will share that screen now, if I can remember how to do this. There's so many things here, John.
Yes, you get so many.
Your screen. Gosh, how do I share that screen? Whoops, that's what I need to do. And you're seeing nothing, right?
Seeing code.
We're going to come back to that code, but we should be seeing that. Oops, stop sharing. Share and share like they told me growing up.
There we go.
Here, we should get the virtual in there.
Yep.
All right. As you can see, all I'm doing is the buttons that are off to the bottom, what you saw me pointing at. You can see where it's jumping between here and the lower one, just with one little hit. So it's up here, it's down there.
Right.
So I'm doing things, like I said, I want to be able to go, oh, this is my main search of BPM or whatever. And this is my backup list, my go-to, my hold, my I'm getting to it soon sort of thing. And all I did was kind of switch these around. And then this one lets me go between all of them. So it'll let me go here, it'll go up to here, and then down to it, or cycle through all three. So I can go cycle through all three or just stay here and here. So that's what that does. And that's why I kind of flip that around a little bit, just so that it's a little bit easier for me. Again, it's the same thing that it was intended to be done in the mapping originally. I just didn't like the order of it. So I put it in what I would call a more logical order.
Right.
The next thing, since I'm sharing the screen, is that the wonderful thing about DJing nowadays is that we can spin videos, right?
Yes, we can.
All right, so I'm going to load. Oops, see here, I'm doing the scroll thingy. I'm going to jump to the top, and I'm up here now with just one button push. I jumped up there. That's why I did that. So if I'm down here, I'm scrolling, I'm up there. Okay, so I'm going to load this one into the right deck. And I'm not even sure if I have the right thing on. Oh, I do have the right thing on there. So what you're seeing right now in the background, so let's do this, is generic looped videos to be played over top of an MP3. So the song that's loaded on this side over here is just an MP3. So anytime I load an MP3, it's going to automatically go to those generic looped videos.
Okay.
That's part of the mapping where I told it that's the default, go to that. So it's going to go through this bank of videos that looks like this. I have to think where they're at. Video effects. My video effects now. I can't think of what it's called now. It's called Tally Media. So it looks like this. This is the plugin. And it will let you choose between them. So I can just choose stuff, and there's multiple banks here to choose from. But when I have it set, if I load an MP3 that doesn't have a video, it automatically goes to this and then randomly runs through them. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So with that is pretty plain. Okay? So I'm going to close that out. The other side, I've loaded a video. I put a video over top of an MP3, which you can do on this. It's not really MIDI mapping, but it's all part of what virtual can do. So if I'm playing this side over here, which is there, okay, you'll see it change over.
Yep.
Okay. And let's say I'm at a school dance and this is offensive. Okay.
Yep.
The next deck over to where I don't know what we're all seeing in there. You see the little one. Yeah, you can see the little one up here.
Yeah.
The deck, right?
Yep. We've got that up there too.
To the right of the audio, I programmed this to be video effects. All right. So let me go back here, stretch, so you can see that if I hit the first video effect, it throws a generic, just cascading thing over top the video, so the video is not seen anymore. Back to video, back to the cover. That quick. I can also go in one button hit, cover that up with the clip bank by doing that. And that's stuff from the clip bank, one hit. If I do want the video, I can then make effects with it and make it be fun. Like make it cube, make it rotate, make it cube and rotate. I can put those over top. I can make that go in reverse. So that's a tough one to see, but you can see how it.
Yeah. No, I can see it. Yep.
And I haven't programmed anything on the last two yet. So.
And those are all built-in video effects that are in virtual that you've just given access to.
Yeah, they're a plugin that is called Telemedia, which is you just go to the virtual site and get the plugin, and then that is where all these banks get stored. And that's where, when I talk about when I do the mapping for the lights, I can also put those in a bank and trigger my lights the same way, because it takes actions of a plugin and makes them MIDI mappable to a button. So it's kind of it's a roundabout process. So that plugin that you saw that I showed, the telemedia, is got lots of things to it. I just lost my telemedia plugin. Because you can do overlays and layouts. So if I was doing the layouts and on, I don't know if this is set up right or not with that. Let's go back here. I'm not sure if this is set up right or not. Oh, that's why. The volume's down. You can't see it when the volume's down.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I have anything set for the carousel, but I could be putting stuff in the corner. I don't know why the carousel's not. Not sure why the carousel is not. But those are all things I can trigger within there. The carousel's not picking up a clip bank, but that would be, I can overlay pictures in with the video at the same time and text, and those all can be programmed into an instant hit button. So you can instant hit a text button to put something up on the screen in text, and all of a sudden you have access to type something in, press the button again, and then it's on the screen instantly that quick. So is that making sense?
Yeah.
All right, let me shut telemedia off. Yeah, the text is simple. If I would go into the text, it would be here, and then we would go low, apply, and then highlight the text. And if you're playing the video, it should scroll across the bottom. It should. Because it's on the wrong one. See, again, sides. You have to think about sides. I'm on a different side.
Ah.
There it comes. See it on the bottom?
Yep.
So again, it's that programmable that you can take it side to side if you want. That's kind of basically all I've done with the programming when it comes to the buttons on here. I really didn't do much else, but what took me so long was the fact of trying to choose what I wanted to do. Because it gave me so many buttons. But as you see here, like I said, we have our cue points, audio effects. We have audio effects, video effects, and samples. All with just a simple hit.
Very cool.
Any questions while we're here on this point before I go any further?
I've been just watching the chat, and they've been watching and talking a little bit. Peter and Ian have been kind of talking. Ian's been helping out there with some information and such. So
Cool.
yeah, we are great.
Again, the mapping can be done on virtual. It can be done on Serato. It can be done on Tractor. I've really never played around with like Algorithm or any of those other ones, but there's no reason why any of them can't be done because that's just kind of how they all work.
Yeah.
Almost any controller can be done. I've done custom mapping on the Denon 1200s, which is their little CDJ.
Okay.
I've done mapping on a Vestex Typhoon, which is tiny. I've done mapping on a Newmark DJ to Go, which is like that big.
Mm-hmm.
Mapping on a NS7. I've done mapping on a MK6000. MC6000, MC6000 MK2, MC6000 7000. I mean, so all of those I've mapped myself easily. And we're going to kind of jump in here, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what the mapping is, so you can see it. And like I said, what are there questions in there?
No, William, I have no idea what MJ's talking about.
Feel free to ask because I said it can get crazy. But what I'm going to show you now is in the program itself, what little bit you need to do now. And we're actually going, any keyboard even can be mapped, and this is mapped with shortcuts. So that if, let's say, it dies, and I have this song playing, and see if I can remember what my shortcuts are. All right, so Alt and S should take me to Q.2. No. Oh, I know why it didn't do that. Because I had that there. All right, so now. 2.2, 2.3, 2.1. That quick. Alt and I think E or W, I don't have my map in front of me, should be a backspin. That's the echo out. And play again on the pause. Alt E. And what they are now. Yeah, so I don't have everything up there mapped, but that's what we're doing. We're putting plugins. If I'm running 2 of them and I need to nudge one forward, I can nudge it forward and backward with the right and left arrows. So if I want it to speed up, I can. Just like that. Let me share the screen, and then we're going to look at some mapping. Again, shout out questions. I'm trying to keep an eye on the time. We are on a time limit tonight because there's another show after this, so make sure you guys stick around. It's a great show about social media.
Yep, we're going to be talking social media and implementing it into your websites in the second this evening. Okay, that's a lot of code.
This is the stock MIDI map from Denon that I changed a little. I have my Zoom here, which I loaded that tonight. And we're going to look at some simple things on there. There's effects right there. That button, you remember me showing you about my quick hit exit effects at the top? That's what that code looks like from scratch. There's a flange loop out, which is my program that I put in there. But that looks kind of daunting to look at all that. Like, how am I going to know to type all those little, asterisks and question marks and signs?
Yeah, for sure.
With the program, you don't have to do any of that now. So that's one of the things. But I want to scroll down here. I want to see who catches this. I just caught it today. Let me see if I can find it there. Is it here? Where was it at? Because I just caught it today.
Is it Waldo?
It's not Waldo, but it's going to make you go, what the heck, Batman? I knew I wouldn't find it when I needed to find it. Let me take it off Zoom and see if I can find it without Zoom. We'll just do a search for it then. It's not in there. I'm not sure what I was looking at then. But in the stock, I think I was looking at the stock. They had taken the MIDI mapping for the Pioneer SX, and that's what they based this MIDI mapping off of, because it had Pioneer in the play button. It would have been in Q Shift Load. Let me find the play button. There's play.
There, Pioneer Play, yeah.
Yeah. So I picked that up today. I'm like, are you serious? So right here, they had taken it from Denon's or Virtual's mapping of Pioneer and adapted it for this because they're very close to button wise. So I thought that was kind of neat when I saw that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was too. But that's the big thing. So we're going to break that down and we're going to go smaller now into some basic mapping examples, because each thing I go, it's going to get easier. Trust me. To change in 7, you would do this line across the top. And this means that there is a break start effect and a flanger effect on the button called FX1. And with the $, that means that we're making it universal as opposed to specific. So you would go, well, how am I going to know if I want a $, to make it specific to one deck, or do I want it for that button affects everything? As I go here, you're going to see that you don't have to do that anymore. The second thing is on that same thing. If I wanted the play button to light up, I would have to do this here.
Where are you at now? I can't. I'm not seeing your mouse.
I think we went to the I think. Hold on here.
Otherwise, just highlight the text and such.
Yeah, here we go. All right, so this is what because I changed the background, and this wonderful program of Zoom requires you to change things you share. Now we're here.
Okay. I'm sorry. Now that makes okay. So start over again. It was
bar shift quote $ is all stating that the shift is this right here. So if I hit shift and the button FX1, the break start effect goes. If I don't hit shift and hit the FX1 button, flanger effects goes, okay? And that was how you would have to program a single button. The second line would be what you would have to put another line in to make that button LED that's for the play button light up and blink at a certain command. Like if it's on Q, it'll blink. If it's on, it's on. If you hit play, it's on. If you hit Q, it blinks. So that's what you'd have to do all that to make that go in there. As you see the $sign, and these are all different things that if you want it to apply to the right deck, you would have to write that in. Left deck, deck number 2, deck number 3, deck number 4. Active deck makes it active to the one that's playing live. And if you write into the code default, it applies it to the one that you're queuing. So that's kind of crazy. You know, that's all the kind of stuff you had to learn before, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which is a lot, and most people would never care to do that ever. But if we go to here, let me switch screens one more time and share here and bring that up. Okay, you're seeing virtual now?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. I don't know where my zoom is on this. Okay, I can't see my zoom. My zoom went away. Where's my zoom at? There it is. That's why I couldn't find it. We're going to look at the code here. So if I go to the controller, you guys can now see that they have them by areas. So I'm looking at the Denon right now. You can see all these different effects here, deck 1 equal high Q, where you would have to do a long line of stuff. But this is all it is now. So my high EQ button knob, for level high, that's it. EQ high is written as EQ high. So they've simplified what has to be put on there. The effects where I told you it had a double effect before with the back, that's all you're doing now is FX1, FX2. When you press it, active backspin. That's all you have to do. So what do you want to do if you want to hit shift and backspin? You go down into the shift area. So instead of putting it all on one, you now have a second line and you put your second one on there. Wherever the FX1 is on. FX1. Oops. Yeah, so effect, active, flip, and double. So instead of writing long lines, all you have to do is go shift, and this button means, because this is all from them. I don't do any of this. This is how the computer reads it as a stock MIDI thing, okay? So that's all you would have to do. And let's say, okay, now I've gotten the regular button program by typing in that tiny little code, and I've gotten the shift button by typing in that code in the shift FX1 on, okay? I want it to light up. What do I do if I want it to light up? Shift LED. This is an LED.
There it is.
There it is. So I would go LED, whatever deck it is, and then you would go active when it hits. And that's all you do. If you don't know what button you're programming, it's kind of neat. I'm going to press the play button, and you'll see the play button populate in there. Okay. Now I'm going to hit the Q button. It tells you what button. So now I can program that button by going, okay, I want that button to do this effect. So you go and find that Q or play or whatever you hit. Go find it. Like if I put the FX1 in there, which is the echo out, I go find FX1. Now that I know that that is the button, if I can actually even scroll, when it comes to there. And as you see, I put in there effect active, flange loop out. That's all you have to do to change a button now. Where before it was that long string of things.
So that flange loop out, where are you finding that text? Is that coming from that menu that's...
You type this in. Like you can go here to what the effects that you want to command. Go back down here. So effects active, effects beat. Like I said, a lot of these, you can just go online and see what is this? And you're going to copy and paste. And that's what I'm going to show you when we program the keyboard. I'm going to copy and paste from another button and rewrite the effect I want it to do. So that's kind of all you have to do is find the button you want, find the code like, oh, this button actually does this, copy it, and then type in the effect you want. And they all come with effects, and if it's not an effect, it could be a play, it can be a volume, it can be whatever you want it to be. Like that, the sensor button, which I go back and I hit the sensor button. You'll see it'll say sensors, the kick drum. So we'll go down to sensor, which is right there. So it's sampler pad, and it's within a pad of effects that I put together.
Yep.
Which is the same as the other one, and it just triggers that. That's all it does. It triggers pad 1 of that grouping of sounds. That's all you do.
So that code, the 6000 MK2 special.
That is the name. That's easy. I can show you that. That is the name of this area here is your, what they call banks now, which 8 has banks. And if you want to sit through a thing of virtual 8, we'll do that another time. But you look at the different banks and you can create banks. So I'm going to go into edit banks and you'll see different names in here and kick drum, different pads in here, different things like that. So pad 1 is going to take from the sampler. Remember the samplers that we put here? It then grabs these samples right here because I put it as sampler. So it's grabbing from here, putting it on that pad, and then I program that pad to that button. That's how far you can go. So when I put later on, when I put that Freestyler plugin, I will then put the Freestyler plugin actions into a pad, and then I can MIDI map a button to that pad. So I know that's confusing, but that's how much you can do with this with only needing to learn little lines. You don't have to do a long line of code. And the cool thing about this is if we go back to here, if it always keeps the factory default, you cannot delete that. So if you goof it up, you go back to factory default, start again, and save it as a different name.
Start over again,
which I did that the first day. I'm like, oh crap, I don't want that. And then deleted my custom blah, 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 blah. But the other thing, like I said, your actual keyboard that you type on has effects to it. So all of that is MIDI mapped. So if I hit, like before, we had that flanged echo out was Alt W. So I get my Alt W, and you can see there, flange loop out. So if it's playing, and I hit Alt W, oops, sorry. You have to be touching the deck, make sure that that's active, Alt W. And that's all I did was put that command in Alt W. And we're now going to put that exact command in Alt P. So I'm going to copy it, but it's going to change slightly. I'm going to copy it. And remember when we're hitting the buttons, trying to make it come up with a button, I'm going to hit Alt P. Whoops, am I doing that right? Hold on here. There we go. So I'm going to hit Alt P, so I know that it's Alt P that I'm going with. That should.
Wouldn't you be on the left there? Wouldn't you be on the keyboard?
Thank you. Alt P. See how it populated Alt P? Okay. So that's the key now that I know that I'm programming is Alt P. Because all I did was hold down Alt and then hit P. I'm putting in paste what I did before. But the thing we're changing is from deck 1 to deck 2. Hitting save. And then now I play deck 2 and hit Alt P. Oops, sorry. I have to make sure that I'm touching that. And now we just programmed a new button. And it's endless on here, the different things that you can do. Like I said, there's effects, there's the number pad plus or minus pitching. You want to jump pitching. Samples are up there. Your F6 is now a loop. So make a shorter loop. I keep forgetting I have to actually, when you're on here, you then have to tell it you're on here.
Yep.
That's on deck 2. See how it made the short loop on this one over here? Okay. I'm now going to highlight, back to the beginning of that, and highlight this deck, the red deck, and I'll hit F2, and it'll be a loop. So that's my sample, sorry, number 2. And hit it again, and it releases off the loop. I had forgotten all that I had programmed. The F keys are also programmed, MIDI mapped for your samples.
You are listening to my MC DJ.
So that's all on the keyboard. So
Sure.
if something crashed, you would still have access to be able to do all of that stuff through this.
Very neat.
So that's why I do the mapping, because then I make it what I want it to do, how I want it to do it, and completely the way I want it to. So what are we thinking here?
Yeah. No, we're getting close to wrapping her up here.
Yeah, like I said, I knew it wouldn't be for everybody, but to see how far that's come from that other sheet that I showed you, to how it's now just like 4 words. Think about in another 5 years how easily it's going to be to MIDI map, and there are programs out there that will help you MIDI map your device quicker. So you can download a program that you put in, I'm using this software and this hardware device, and it then does it for you. But you kind of command it to do things. But
Dan Knight mentioned then you'll need new little stickers for the new buttons.
I don't know if I'm going to sticker these. I tried to get to show a picture of my old laptop with the stickers. I couldn't find one, but I had them all stickered so that I could look there and go, this is what this is, and this is what I knew what it all was, because there's control action keys, there's function action keys. So I don't even know what they do. I think that releases a cue point and alt sets a cue point, I think. But each one does its own thing. Alts and controls become different functions within the same key. And then shift also becomes one too. So it's a lot to take in, but if you really want to do stuff, you literally have the ability to do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Do we have any questions before we wrap things up? Because we've got only a couple of minutes left here before we head out. Is it possible to set the software to, because Reggie was mentioning the other day the idea about sending a mono signal, and I know you've talked about it also, MJ, that a lot of DJs like to have a mono signal. Is it possible that's software, or is it all hardware?
Both. Most of the Denon stuff has it as a flip switch in the back. I know virtual, you go into here, you go into the options section.
We're not seeing it yet. If you can share the screen.
I have to share. Yeah, I don't share very well, John. All right, there we go. Okay, and bring this back up, and then we go back in here to options, and this is all your settings. I mean, there's just endless amounts of settings here, and I just type up in here mono. I think it's mono or stereo. It's a command in there. I can't think of what it is. It's under audio. Somewhere in here. I can't think of what it is, but it's just a choice. That's all it is. But I can't think of what it is. So that's the thing. You have to kind of learn what they are when you're searching for them. And I can't remember what this one is. So.
There have been a few things I've been looking for, and it's like, okay, you start looking, and it's like, oh, that's what that is. And
there's so many in here that do things that affect a button a different way. If you want your trigger effects to hit and play through all the way through with one hit, or if you want them to be a stop and start button, or if you want them to be a hold down and play button, there's choices you pick on that. There's different things that you come with what it does in sample rates, latency on stuff. I know that you can go in here and you can change the scratch latency and stuff like that, and different things. So there's a lot you can do with all of them now. And Serato was one that they finally kind of opened up and letting people really dig into it. The best one for digging into, I think, is probably Tractor. It's crazy how deep they let you jump into that.
Mm.
But that's all within that right there. That's kind of what that all is.
MB, we got a question, and maybe this will be for a future, but can the mics on the 7000 have any pitch effects added to it?
There is a way that you can map it, but with the two, I'm telling you, with the way this runs, being straight lined from the mic to the out, and I really think they're that good, you don't need to worry about them. But you would have to go in. If I go back here, my gosh, what am I sharing? There we go. if I would go back into audio interface and in this section here, add microphone in, I would be able to do something with the mic. The same with line ins. I can create a line in to record too. But you can do that. And then once you get in there, then you can, just like you saw me layer the effects for things, you would do the same thing for that when you pressed power on the mic, it would activate that effect that you had pre-programmed. Which I know there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Here's your microphone input. You can activate it or deactivate it. Right now, it's activated through. That's where you get your lines through. I deactivate it, so now it's just a straight wire. So opposed to two, that's going through the software, that's going through the hardware. So I just leave it going through the hardware.
Gotcha.
If you want to hook up vinyl to this, like I said, virtual plays off Serato vinyl. All I would do was hit that, and instead of reading the sound card here, it would just read the vinyl time code. It's that quick. And like I said, in future, we are going to do virtual walkthroughs. I'm going to do a Serato walkthrough way down the road. But these are all possibilities, because I know most DJs, and I even saw an article recently that talked about all the things that you can do with controllers nowadays. And it talked about most people just kind of load a song, press play, maybe do a mix, press play again, or do a little scratch. So you may never use it, but it's there. It is there.
And it's a tweakable function. So, MJ, we got to wrap. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back here in about 10 minutes. We've got Jared Wade coming in. We're going to be talking about implementing social media and things into your website. He's got some really cool ideas and tips for you. MJ, next week we'll come up with something cool.
We will have a topic soon, but it's going to be all this gear, how to do stuff from now on Wednesdays.
That sounds awesome. Thank you very much, gang. We'll be back in 10.